Before I start, I am kinda confused about this, but just in case, I'll clarify. I played this version of Armies of Exigo. For some reason, I've also seen this cover art and some weird screenshots of the game circulating the web, but I have played this version only. Okay, now that I've made this point clear, let's start the video. This game is the game that comes to mind when I think of myself at the age of 12, failing to get through the first level of a game, yet falling in love with it. Generally, I really enjoyed my time with this game on three separate occasions. First, obviously, when my dad bought it for me at some random small shop next to the city zoo back in 2010, I think. The second time was when I fully completed one of the campaigns, and the third time some weeks ago. I have replayed the game in its entirety, and I must say, it is an interesting experience. Obviously, the game suffers from its age and the PG rating, that being PG 12, meaning that it cannot explore the themes and showcase the campaign in an interesting way without having to simplify it to the younger intended audience. But without further ado, here is Armies of Exigo Revisited.
It was 70 years ago that our centuries-old peace was broken, shattered by the rage of the orc invaders. Our only choice was to turn them back or be utterly destroyed. Time fades scarred memories. A new evil will awaken, and old enemies must reconcile and draw blades together. But that time is yet to come. It is for a future generation to decide.
The game is a real-time strategy game released at the end of 2004. It is commonly compared to games such as Warcraft 3, StarCraft, or Age of Empires. I got to enjoy the game without previously playing the others, meaning that this was a completely new style of game for me, leaving this particular title to reminisce about. The gameplay has a simple premise. It is generally a settle and conquer type of map. The three campaigns that I'm going to discuss in a bit are all divided into 12 levels of their own, creating a chaptered story. Most maps follow a simple formula. Here is where you start. You have your starting building, some workers, here are your enemies, and you must destroy this, get here, or kill this particular person slash creature. Simple as that. Obviously, the game throws in story elements into this, meaning that every enemy isn't just random. In addition, there are some maps where it doesn't follow this routine. There are timed maps, meaning that you have to resist an attack for some amount of time, usually around 20 minutes. Other maps throw you into a situation where you cannot build any buildings, meaning that you cannot train any troops. Here you have to reach a certain point on the map, but with a limited army. Those were the trickiest levels, in my opinion. Each of the 3 playable races has its own perks and gimmicks that alter the gameplay and keep the player entertained through the 12-chapter campaigns. Each race has its own variations of the standard building and character sets, with the general main building, a troop training building, food source, defensive building, and others. The characters are the workers slash builders, some melee troops, flying troops, magic troops, special stronger troops, or troops with specific special abilities. There is a sort of leveling system for the troops. The humans and beasts each have an individual level, meaning that the more they live and kill, the higher their level becomes, increasing their health. So that is some motivation to not treat all units as expendable. As usual, the Fallen have it a little different. They all level up collectively, but these are small details. Beware of spoilers for this part of the video. The story of this game is interesting enough to play through, so I do recommend you find the game and download it. The advantage of such old games is that you can pretty much find the .exe file and play it without even installing the game. But again, if you do not wish for the story to be spoiled, skip to this timestamp in the video. The story, as previously mentioned, is divided into 3 12-chapter campaigns: the Human campaign, the Fallen campaign, and the Beast campaign. As you might imagine, you play as these 3 races. The campaigns are in chronological order, pretty much the next continuing from where the previous one left off. The Human campaign is the first one you play. It introduces one of the main characters in the game, a young mage Ulrich Dolrey, as well as other human characters who the player gets to control in the levels. Unknowingly to the player, the campaign introduces a now human, actually fallen character, Karen Kesserton. The campaign plays out pretty linearly, following the human-elf-dwarf alliance as they battle the orcs and lizardmen. It is interrupted partway with the introduction of the Fallen, who also pose a threat to the humans, but also to the beasts. The campaign finishes with the humans pretty much winning the battle against the beasts, but with Ulrich Doré mentioning that this is part of a greater war because Karen Kesserton has been exposed as a fallen creature and escaped. You then play as the Fallen, following Karen Kesserton as he searches for the Heart of the Void, basically a tool to warp the world to the Fallen's liking. You move mostly underground at first to not be seen. You find the Crypt of Ruanan, a previous Archmage of the Obsidian Tower who reveals the location of 3 seals that protect the Heart of the Void from the Fallen race. You then collect the 3 seals and lead an assault at the Obsidian Tower where the Heart of the Void resides. With the beasts, you try to regroup after falling to the humans, start fighting against them, but then you see the collective threat that is the Fallen, who want to destroy the world. You then ally with the humans and collectively fight against Karen. The ending cinematic shows Ulrich Doré and Draga, the leader of the beasts, confront Karen and destroy the Heart of the Void, thus killing the Fallen and presumably stopping the end of the world. Overall, it is an amazing triple campaign story that, in my opinion, is enjoyable and really worth playing. I will discuss the three main characters in this game, those being Ulrich Doré, Karen Kesserton, and Draga. Once again, not as much as the story section, but while discussing the characters I will be talking about what they do and how they influence the story, so beware for potential spoilers. Here is the timestamp to skip this part. Ulrich Doré. He is a character who is interesting to follow in the human campaign, as he is a young yet incredibly powerful wizard, meaning that he's often underestimated by his foes. He gets the title of Chaosbringer after his actions in the 4th chapter of the human campaign. After that, we don't follow him. Instead, we spend multiple missions following his allies who try to rescue Ulrich as he's been captured and imprisoned. Overall, the character is pivotal to the entire story since he proves a strong ally to the beasts when Draga, then son of the leader of the beasts, kills his father who was resisting the notion of siding with the humans. He then goes on to, obviously, end the end of the world. Karen Kesserton. He is a character who, in my opinion, is more interesting at the beginning when he is in his human form. He is manipulative and works toward a goal of killing Ulrich Doré, sending him numerous times to places from which Ulrich miraculously escapes alive. He pretty much tries to covertly eliminate any threat before commencing his plan as a Fallen to get to the heart of the void. Then he turns into his true form and escapes from the council. To be honest, I believe that him responding to the Ancient Ones and basically working for someone or looking for someone supposedly stronger than him undermines his power. It makes him not really as menacing as he's supposed to be, nor is he a likable protagonist to follow since the player knows him as the secondary main antagonist of the previous campaign. In general, he turns out to be incredibly important for the story, with it only concluding after his death. The third protagonist is Draga, the son of the beast's leader. He notices that despite the increasing danger of the Fallen, his father does nothing to deal with them. He then overthrows him and becomes the leader of the beasts. He sides with Ulrich Doré and brings an end to Karen and the Fallen. Generally, this is the most interesting campaign from the point of view that we are first introduced to the beasts as an army without shown leaders and basically no one specific character to antagonize, like with Karen. Then we see the beast's point of view and we see Draga make the right decision, which ultimately helps save the world. Overall, I enjoyed playing Draga a lot. Now, the important question. Did this game from 2004 age well? Yes and no. It didn't age badly enough to justify not trying it out at least once. I think that despite the graphics being not really amazing, they aren't horrible and actually are decent enough to be easily overlooked and to enjoy the story. The game aged just fine, and I still recommend playing it for the immersive campaigns. Well, coming to the end of the video, I really want to say that it has truly been a pleasant experience to revisit the game. It is one of those experiences that just got better and better the more times I experienced it. Replaying the game was great. And to revisit the characters and see the bigger story, I truly feel like this is a game that can be left on its own and still be a very solid installment. But also, the IP could be used, and I probably would be really excited to see a remake or a spin-off / sequel made in the modern day. But will that happen? Probably no. It is fine, as there will always be this replayable game that one can sink a couple of days at a time into. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it and would like me to revisit more old games, then make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and comment your thoughts. I'm planning on making videos about a bunch of games from my childhood, but if you have any that you'd like me to visit and talk about, make sure to leave them in the comments and I will add that to my list of games to revisit and possibly make a video about it in the future. Anyways, thanks for watching and see you next time.